Here we go. Okay. We're recording now. Welcome back, everybody. This is
my bad.
This is yet another episode of Natives in America podcast. It's funny. Whenever I say that, I always feel like I forgot the name of our podcast every time. I always go, "This is the show that we're usually on here."
I thought you were gonna say you feel like I don't know.
Like one of those pimps.
I was thinking of like a famous someone does the news.
Does
like
what?
Someone that does the news.
Oh yeah. Like a broadcaster.
Yeah, I don't know.
An anchorman.
Yeah, just sort of,
hey everybody.
Tune in, man, jump on.
Stay classy, San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah. So
welcome back. Sky's here.
We're here.
I wish you were here in person, man. That last episode, I really enjoyed. Like, I think we laughed a little bit more because like I could see you. I don't know. I always enjoy getting a laugh.
Yeah. No, we'll get some laughs in today.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying it's impossible, you know.
Right, I'm still just pretend there's a hologram of me sitting right there.
Sitting in the chair across from me?
Yeah. No, last week worked out while I was in town, and
yeah.
Now I'm back on my schedule, and I'm home, you know?
Yeah.
Worked a full day. Started a little early today, but, you know, it was still a full day, so I wasn't, last week I got up early and had to do some deliveries.
Yeah.
So I was in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I might as well do the podcast live, or at least closer to the equipment, which is kind of how this all is possible, because I think some people, like, any future guests or anybody that's maybe interested in jumping on our conversation, Benjamin is like, he has the buttons. I'm just kind of calling in and he's recording my voice, but so it's a little Star Warsy, you know? Yeah. He's talking to a hologram version of me, and I hear him in my head.
Yeah, like I always have this little tiny screen in front of me, and it's showing me like where our voice volumes are at, like if we're clipping or not. And like throughout the conversation, I was adjusting it, and like, you know, because we had the mics now, and they're not attached to you, so it was like they were. Anytime you sat back, I had to like turn it up, or you sat forward, I'd turn it down. I was sitting there adjusting it, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's like the energy is still there. It's just in different forms, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy, but hey, that's you can thank COVID for all that. For this version of ourselves right now, because
absolutely.
Ideally, I think we would be in person, you know, kicking back, talking.
Yeah.
But it's still the same thing. We're kicking back and we're talking. So yeah, it's just a different form of the energy we would normally have, but I don't know about these days, so it's just thankful to be living and to be able to, you know, have this, wherever this conversation goes, because I don't know.
Yeah, we go deep, man. It seems to keep happening.
Sometimes it's deep, but in other times it's like lost.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we
lost in another off topic, but we're still holding on to the topic.
It seems to bring us back whenever we mention the title. Like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah.
All right. So the topic. Tonight's topic. I heard about this and then told it to a couple people, and I had told it to Linus right before he went, off to go protect water, be the water protector. Is that what they're calling him?
I'm not too sure.
I don't know. He went to go defend against a pipeline, and anyway, when he decided to do it, I told him about this thing. It's called Move the Cheese, because he was telling me, how things had kind of gotten kind of stagnant, I guess. Things are slowing down where he was at, and he didn't feel quite right, and he didn't know what it was. And I said, oh, well, you got to move the cheese. And that's exactly how somebody said it to me before, like, oh, you got to move the cheese. And I was like, what? And I was like, did I hear you right? Like, wait, what? Like, what? Move the cheese.
Uh-huh.
All right, so here's the premise. Everybody says, like, oh, I feel like a rat in the maze. Like, it's a very common expression because it happens all the time. Like, there's scientists somewhere in a lab, and they got rats, and they got a maze, and there's some cheese. And I almost feel like it's an old wives' tales, a rat liking cheese. Like, I think they like other things more, like some oats, a little peanut butter. Anyway, that's besides the point. The expression is, all right, there's scientists in a lab here, and I guess it's not an expression, but they're in a lab. They got rats running around inside a closed environment. It's like a maze, and they got to find the cheese. There's something that they're after. They can smell it. They're hungry. They want it. So they got to find it. They got to run through this maze, and they got to get to the cheese. Well, a lot of these experiments, it's like timed. It's like how long is it going to take them to get to the cheese? Like, what are they going to do when they get it? Like it happens again and again and again. And what one group, it's probably a lot more than one, but like at some point, the mouse loses interest. And they say there's a difference between a young mouse and an older mouse, but like the mice lose interest. They do the same thing over and over again, and they keep doing it, and at some point, it's like, fuck that cheese. I don't want the cheese. Like, I don't want the cheese anymore. It's the same cheese. Why don't you guys throw some new cheese? I don't want that cheese anymore. And they'll just kind of either wander or sit there and hang out. They're not gonna chase the cheese anymore. Or they get so used to the same maze that they just, they start running it really fast. They're like, oh, I get it. Over time, the progression is that the mouse gets the cheese faster and faster because it's starting to remember where it is, right? Well, what scientists started figuring out was, like, after a long enough time, the mouse just lost complete interest in this cheese. It's like, all right, there's nothing for me over there. Well, what's the point? Why am I going to go running through this maze anymore if, it's just for that cheese, it's just for the thing. There's nothing interesting about this anymore. And so what the scientists started to do is like, oh, well, we got to move the cheese. We got to move it to a different area, and we got to change the maze. And what happens is all of a sudden it's a brand new experiment. There's something new going on, and the mouse reacts differently, and suddenly he's interested again. Where's that fucking cheese? Where is it? I'm gonna find it. Let me go through this maze. It's different. Where is it? Got to figure it out. And then there's the interest again, and there's this energy about the mouse. It's involved again. It's excited to be there. It's interested in what kind of cheese is over there. Like it's revamped. It's found its energy again. And then there was like a translation into human life. It's like if we spend our lives doing the same thing again and again, there's a monotony and a stagnation that happens where it's like, oh, what's the point? we all kind of experience this. Like, what's the point? Why do I want to keep doing what I'm doing if it's for the same old cheese? If it's in the same old place?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? You're going to lose interest. Things are going to get stagnant. Your life's going to kind of feel like it's at a dead end. And the way you keep interest and keep yourself excited about what you do, you got to move your cheese.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. It's like, all right, what leads to this cheese not being interesting, and where are you going to move it? What are you going to do to move your cheese? All right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about the premise? Let's start there.
Yeah, so
Or the idea. What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard of I've never heard the phrase, but I get it. With, a rat or a person almost getting bored or tired of the mundane routine to where the prize is not even the prize. It's just what's expected.
Yeah.
And after a while, expectations, they kind of, when you get what you get, let's say when you get what you get, or what you get, I don't know what I'm trying to say, what you get is what you get. It's like, man, they tell, like, they say, and I can't relate to the phrase because I'm where I'm at, but they say that if you're the best player at the gym where you're at, leave, because you're not being challenged anymore. You're just kind of dealing with the same thing. Like,
yeah,
somewhere there's other people that are better and are going to challenge you harder, but you got to go and find those things. So I think finding the cheese is almost a sign of another chapter, another saga, something different, or another direction you got to take yourself, or rewriting the narrative to where you're actually excited again, and you're feeling happy. It's not just the same old thing. How I relate to it now, I don't know if I've moved the cheese not too long ago, or if I'm considering moving the cheese, but I think it's not always related to jobs, but I associate it with jobs to where,
yeah,
oh man, I'm kind of getting tired of this routine. I might need a new job.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess what is the cheese I'm chasing, and what is the cheese that almost needs to get put in a new place because I'm tired of the routine?
Yeah.
Damn, with talking about COVID in the beginning, like it feels like not normal, but it's like, it's still affecting everything to where it feels like the cheese has been put away. Hey, you can't have the cheese, so now it's almost like, how do you break in and get the cheese, or how do you break in to at least put yourself in the puzzle to find the cheese?
Damn. Your cheese is locked away now? It's like, you don't even get cheese, man. I don't even get cheese, man. I'm just in a cage.
You don't even get to chase it. Like, you just...
So that's like you're beyond moving your cheese, and you just need cheese now. It's like, damn, I need some cheese. They took my cheese away. I stopped chasing it, and they put it away, and I got put away. I'm back in my cage. just fucking with the wheel that goes nowhere.
I think I found my cheese, and me talking now, I think it's like, how far are you willing to go now, for the same cheese that it's always been. Because that's another thing, too, is like it's not a different cheese, it's the same cheese, it's just they moved it to a different place, and now you're on a different hunt, but you're on the same hunt.
Yeah.
But
the classic hunt, yeah.
I guess it's like, do you feel like you're a rat being tested by like a higher scientist, doing research? Do you think that's what it is?
Alright, that sounds a little deeper, and I will say that I've had a few Matrix moments on some mushrooms where it was like things are like the veil was removed from my eyes. It's like all of a sudden I felt like I was qualifying myself to be taken to the next level. Like we're all just kind of here in what we consider Earth, but really it's like a big experiment, and it's just here, just like the Matrix, where it's like, alright, all these brains are there, but they're really just sitting there being used as batteries. But how we all get along in our life, how you keep those bodies satisfied and not just failing, is you entertain the brain, you give it something to experience. Like the Matrix, people were going around living their lives when in fact they were just plugged into this computer that that kept them thinking their life was the same, normal. Like, this is just, everything's normal, this is what happens, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna do what everybody else does, and I'm just gonna keep my head down and keep running the maze, keep walking through this computer life. And until Morpheus shows up with the blue pill and the red pill, then you're either going to stay there or you're going to wake up. And I've had a few moments where I've woken up. And so yeah, on that question of believing whether or not the scientist is standing around experimenting on us and testing us and making us run their maze, I sometimes feel like there's aliens that fulfill that model, but that's not quite what I was talking about. I was just talking about the monotony of life, like
I was
like regular life, not so much the scientist I was focusing on the rat, but
I get it. I just thought I'll ask that because
damn.
I guess like we all have those breaking points where we need something different, And I think that's what moving the cheese is finding something different, going up. But and I guess ideally in a world where maybe you're about improving or progressing, that means taking on a bigger challenge. So yeah, I that's why it's easy to relate it to the job, but like in other aspects of life, like how do we need to be moving the cheese? Or
well, I think that was the whole point. Like, I think that was the result that came out of the experiment. Maybe not the experiment, but it was like a side note that became the focus of the study. It was like, all right, well, how, we realize there's an issue here with the whole experiment, and overall what it is there's a lack of spontaneity, some people would say, or there's nothing fun going on. It's just all the same old story. And then when that happens, you lose interest in what the original goal was.
Mm.
So I wanted to say, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I've gotten stagnated a whole bunch of times in my life, and when it does, and when it happens, and it's happened a lot. Like, if I'm thinking about it right now, I'm trying to list them off in my mind, and there's probably been at least 4 or 5 major times where I was just like, all right, I'm done, time to move on, and I just picked up and left, like kind of.
Yeah.
Freaked my mom out. My sister didn't quite approve. She doesn't quite approve of me moving to Coalfields right now. And they're worried about it, but it's like usually when I come to these conclusions, I'm not just going out of the blue, I thought about it last night and now I want to move back. Mm. Now I'm going to uproot my life and move it 150 miles away. Or 100 miles away. That's not what I do. Like, the way my mind works, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about this for months, 2 years, going, all right, when do I do this? And I go, later. I'll make this big move and go back later. I'll do this later. Like, I've had that land in Coalfields forever, man. It's been there forever.
Yeah.
And like now, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like, I just got it. But no, I've had it forever. And I still haven't developed it. And I just keep going, later. I'll get to it. And I never have, and I probably won't ever if I don't get started. And so I'm moving my cheese.
Yeah.
Which is basically me right now. I'm the cheese at this point. I'm saying I'm moving it. Or maybe my life and the point that the satisfaction that I derive from doing something that I enjoy is the cheese for me. It's like I want to stay busy, and I want to enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that involves music. It involves physical work, and at the same time, I like using my mind. Like, I like planning stuff and designing stuff, and that's kind of what comes with home building and gardening. There's these things that I plan on doing when I go down there. It's like I want to move my damn cheese because I keep telling my sister and my mom, like, look, this is because they're kind of the naysayers in my family to me, in my life, and they're like, hey, I don't know. I don't know if you should. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should just stay right where you're at and do exactly what you're supposed to do. And I think that alone, that expression, do what you're supposed to do what's normal, has always bothered me too. And I'm not saying that's why I'm leaving, but I am saying this isn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. I've needed to move the cheese, and the thing I keep telling them is, look, I'm paying close to $800 a month on property, on a house, an apartment that I will never own. I'm like, this is all money I could be spending on building my own place. Like, this is lost money. I'll never get it back. Now, I got time up here. Like, I got to do all these things that I've enjoyed up here, but like, I need a new thing to go after. And right now, I think it's out there on the res.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I might get out there and it might be the worst idea I've ever made. But I don't know.
You won't know until you actually do.
Yeah. And like I have a ton of high hopes of going out there. And one of them is I'll have a yard for my boy. You know, he'll get to run around. I'll be able to look after my parents because they're falling apart. I'll be able to start working on my land, and maybe I'll get involved in either politics or whatever the business is of my village or the community. It's like I want to get involved. I want some free time to chill with my niece and nephew. they're my godson. Like they're not getting cared for by their uncle or their godfather. You know, it's like they're or my son's father, me. They're not knowing who I am. Yeah, like they're off doing their own life, and I only hear about it when we get back together. So it's like I want to reconnect with my family, with my community, my home, and kind of my roots. Where do I come from? I definitely don't come from Tucson. I come from the res. Like I live out there, and you know I gotta move my cheese, man. I'm up here paying for a house I don't own. You know, just eating a bunch of food, being lazy, you know, just fucking laying around. Like, when I go to work, that's what gets me out of the house. And I work hard, man. I work hard. I sweat. Like, it's a physical job. It's probably the only thing keeping me alive right now because I'm eating so much damn fast food that I'm up here, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the need for is stagnation, man. I've been doing this 3 years, and I've been up here probably close to 10 years now, and it's like it's time to move the cheese.
Yeah. Man, the cheese is... I guess it's not so much the cheese, but the time you spend where you're chasing the cheese, really.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Because, I mean, I hear you full. But relating it to the cheese is kind of, you know, where you spend your time, or how you spend your time, how you make the most of your time, and what do you want to be known for? You know, spending your time on.
Well,
and there's
maybe the real cheese for me in this is how I feel about myself. How I feel about the time I'm spending. I do feel like it's being a little wasted, and I do feel like it's time for me to move on. Like when I leave work, I feel like I did something. Like, all right, I did something that the department needed. I did something that the store needed. I did something, you know, maybe took a little pressure off my boss because she's always freaking out about, you know, she gets shit every day or at least every week about what's still on the floor because she has to manage an entire store. And we're, you know, I don't know how many departments that is. It's probably close to 10 to 15 departments. It's a big-ass warehouse of a store, and we're, you know, our job every night is to clear the floor and make sure shit looks all right. And if I can go in and maybe, you know, make her day a little easier by working hard and getting that shit done, you know, great. It feels good. It's satisfying. But Am I improving? Am I moving forward? Am I feeling better or good? Better about myself, or do I feel good about what I'm doing? And that's I think that's my cheese for me is, do I feel good about what I'm doing? Do I feel good about myself? And right now, no. It's fun. I enjoy running the forklift and the machines. Like, there's something satisfying about picking something up that weighs, you know, about the size of the amount of a car, and then picking it up and raising it 30 feet in the air and putting it in the perfectly sized spot for just that thing. You know, rearranging stuff so they all fit together like a puzzle. That's satisfying for me. It satisfies this need that my mind has, but it doesn't quite. After doing it for 3 years, it doesn't. It's not so interesting. It's still interesting. It's what brought me back to this type of business, but I think it's time to move on. Like I'm kind of curious about you. like your experiences. What's your cheese? What do you think your cheese is? And when's the last time you needed to move it or change it? First of all, what's your cheese?
My cheese?
Yeah.
My cheese is. My cheese is, having, some control in what I do. It's being able to be in a space where I get to be creative and, not be in charge, but to be able to build something and tear it down if it needs to be torn down or rebuilt. And conversating, I can't imagine a space where I'm not talking, and I don't, I really can't say I can say it, but it's it doesn't interacting. This podcast is, I get to talk with one of my good friends every week, and but I have to make adjustments. So this is kind of part of the cheese. I'm coaching. I'm getting back at it. I'm planning. Being able to create opportunities for other people. That's, I don't know if that's my cheese, but that's kind of the result of getting my cheese, where it's getting to hang out and practice before someone can actually apply their skill in a game, and win or lose, you gain something from that moment, and just building on something, continuing to I guess having that purpose. And I always think of what my poetry instructor told me. It's know the difference between making a compromise and being compromised. So I think I've lived long enough to know, it's not always, you can't always get what you want, but if you can make moves and make decisions to where it feels like you're getting what you wanted, and there's purpose and meaning, and there's actually focus and goals, and it's just, I don't know if I'm just talking out of my ass, but
it sounds good.
I'm just saying, to be alive is already good enough. But to be able to do things and have conversations and to be able to maybe not always fix things or not so much fix things, but if you don't get it done, you have the next day, and until you run out of days. And I'm lucky enough to still have some days left, so it's not so much the cheese, it's the time I have to spend to chase the cheese, really.
Yeah. All right. So you just touched on a really good point. Like I associate this move with time. Like I'm worried about my parents a little. They're kind of getting. My dad's getting sick, or he's been sick, but I guess he's getting worse. And then there's my mom. She's starting to have trouble walking, where she's tiptoeing, watching the ground. And when I watch her walk, I feel scared for her. At any moment she could just go down. So it's I see it as time with them. And then at the same time, I've had a few health scares myself, and it's like, okay, how much time do I really have to keep digging around up here and not do something? Like I've already given it 3 years, and here I am, and I don't feel like I've progressed all that much. So it's like, how much time is part of it? Do I have to chase the cheese? And as long as I'm chasing while the chasing's good, maybe I should be where I want to be on top of that. Not just doing the same old regular thing, but also being where I want to be. Like, my satisfaction on a day-to-day basis is important to me, too. It's like, I want to be, like, a lot of people will say, oh, well, you can't have everything right away. Like, I never liked the expression, have your cake and eat it, too. I always felt like that was the stupidest expression ever. It's like, if you have cake, you better eat that motherfucker, or it's going to go bad, If you have cake, why else would you have cake? You want to look at it? Like, oh, it looks so pretty, look at the icing. No, you want to fucking eat your cake. So I never liked that expression. A lot of people say that. I've had that said to me, like, oh, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. I'm like, why the fuck else would I have cake if not to eat it? Like, I hate that expression. A lot of people, like, throw it in people's face. I've had it thrown in my face. Well, I hadn't either up until it was said to me. And then I'm like, what? Shut up. Like, what? This is the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Wait, can you I request elaboration?
yeah, it's like...
why did they say that? What was the... I mean, it's just funny. It's funny that it's a funny idiom, but was the situation serious the way they said that? Or
it usually is. I've had
out of kind-heartedness, or is it?
No. When it's usually by somebody trying to put you in your place. Is how I've ever had it said to me. They're like, oh, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too? You make me sick. And what's funny is I've only ever heard it from women.
Oh.
You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. It's like, why the fuck would you have anything edible around the house if you're not trying to eat it?
Well, like, maybe it was, like, not your birthday, but you still brought your own birthday cake. It's like, hey, you can't.
Hey, you can't have that in here, man.
Like, it's not your cake, it's their cake. I don't know, man. And I guess what makes it your cake versus their cake, Like, cake is cake.
Well, I think in this scenario or this expression, the cake is just the same as the reward. I think some people go, oh, well, like what I was talking about, people telling me you can't just have things right now, you gotta wait down the road. Well, it's like people saying, oh, you can't travel the world right now. But if you save your money, one day you could. All right? And then my thinking is, fuck, if I wait till retirement, I might not be able to walk. I might not even make it to retirement, is what I think, too. It's like, there's a very strange, it's like people who save all their money.
Yeah.
Some of them never get to spend it. They die and it's gone. It's like, you can't take it with you. And I've said the expression, what's money for if not to spend?
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's a broke guy's expression. Maybe I will always be broke because I'm spending my money. I'll never have a nest egg or something. But who's to say I'll ever get to spend that thing? Like, I even seen, it was in a stupid movie, the 9-year engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady, his wife, the lady he was supposed to be engaged to, and they were engaged to each other for 9 years. And his wife was like in philosophy or something, and they were running experiments. And what it was is one of the tests, they'd offer a kid a stale donut. There'd be a kid sitting at a table, and they'd offer the kid a stale donut. And they're like, hey, that donut's stale, and if you wait and don't eat it, in 15 minutes, we'll give you a brand new fresh donut.
Yeah.
And in almost every case, the kid would just eat it. They'd be sitting there like, oh, why would I fucking wait for this imaginary donut when the donut's right here?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them ate it. And there was this whole funny point where she had like stale donuts sitting out, and her husband came in and was like, oh, fuck yeah, there's donuts. And he just started eating them. And she said, oh, those are stale. I can go get some more. And he said, nah, I got it right here. There's donuts right here. And he's just tearing it up. And for me, I struggle with that. Like, it's a social norm. It's a lot of social pressure that people go, oh, well, you really need to save. Or, oh, you can't do that because that doesn't sound normal. It doesn't seem normal to me. And it's like, hey, screw you and your normal. Like this is what feels right to me. And if I don't do it, then I'm going to feel the way I feel right now. It's like things are stagnant. I'm going to feel not good. You know, there's going to be this whole negative side to this that they don't understand. And they're trying to tell me, hey, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Hey, you're not going to be normal. Hey, this isn't normal for you to go somewhere. It's like, why don't you worry about your cheese and I'll worry about my cheese, my maze. It's my maze, motherfucker. Like, I'm in the experiment, and I'm running my own experiment. Let me do mine. Let me do me. And as for anybody out there who likes to throw some, have your cake and eat it too. I'll just say this to you, people: kiss my ass.
I mean, I love food idioms. I mean, we talk with food, but I mean, like I said, no one has ever said it to me, so I can't. I mean, I think it's funny. I think it's funny because it's like, does the situation have to be really specific for that one to be thrown in, or can someone just throw it around like?
The way I've heard it used is there's usually a negative kind of undertone. It's like, I can't believe you want to have your cake and eat it. You know, there's usually a little anger involved when they're telling me this sort of stuff. It's like, oh. You want to eat your cake? You want to have your cake and eat it too? You disgust me. You know, like that's the kind of tone that comes with it.
Yeah.
And of all tones to be spoken to, I don't like that tone either. It's like, keep that to yourself. I don't want it. And if I have cake and it's my cake, then fuck off. I'm going to eat my cake when I want. So screw you to whoever's out there saying this to people. Kiss my ass. To all those those non-cake eating motherfuckers. All right. If you're not going to eat your cake, then let somebody else have it. All right. Like, get out of here. Like, the cake was made to eat. It's food.
You know, some people say like wedding cakes, like they'll save them. Like,
yeah.
So maybe your cake has value, and eating it loses its value.
What if I'm a baker?
And
I'm just knocking cakes out. Like they're all around. I can have this cake and have the next one too. Like, I'm just gonna eat all these cakes.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. Like, this is an interesting point you're making here.
Yeah, no,
the value. Maybe that's what it is. Like, oh, the value.
Yeah. But even kind of relating back to the cheese, you know, I guess our own values and, you know, what motivates us and what keeps us going. The value of the cheese, the value of the cake, like, at a certain point, you know, I don't know. Well, it's just like Beowulf. You know, he wanted all the gold for himself, but, like, you know, you can't take that shit with you when you die.
Yeah.
You know, that gold stays here, so, I I don't know. I think in the sense of value, what kind of value do you want left behind, and what kind of value is just up for the taking, you know?
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty heavy.
Heavy duty.
But I get your point too, because maybe if it was another food, you know, or if it wasn't cake, because
you're just not a cake guy, huh?
Cake's awesome. No, I love cake.
You don't even like. All right, so one thing, you don't like cheese either.
I don't really care for cheese either. Yeah.
So
these are all bad.
This is like that birth thing, man. You got stuck on the word, like the literal definition of the word is like, man. Let's go beyond
it. I get it.
I know you get it. I'm just saying, like, this is how your mind works. It starts there.
Yeah. Okay. My bad, but like,
no,
like yeah, cake has value, and maybe just cut a little and then save the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think like cake is. Are we going like literally like cake or like
no,
like the symbolically what we're?
It's all symbolic. I think I'm thinking about the two who said it, and they both said it was my cousin and it was Sarah. It was my cousin Tina and Sarah. They were saying it to me.
Yeah,
I think they were trying to accuse me of cheating. And I wasn't cheating, so it didn't make sense to me. But I think that's what they were saying. I think they were saying I wanted my cake, which was having a relationship and a family and home. And I think they were saying I was trying to have ladies too, like lady friends. So they're like, oh, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too, and it wasn't true. But it was like, okay. This is so I didn't like the accusation, and at the same time I was like, that's a stupid expression. And I think it was the first time I'd ever heard it. So I was like, that's a stupid expression, and I didn't like that either. It was like, all right, I was being accused of crap I wasn't doing, and then at the same time it was like. It was an expression that didn't make sense to me. It was like, why would you have cake if you're not going to eat it? Like, I don't have cake laying around. But on my pretty good. All right, pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you're onto something. But what I'm saying is, like, you go out and get cake because you intend to eat it.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't intend to go out. I intend to get cake and just have it, lay out until it's done. Like it's like, all right, what are cake dates? Somebody's birthday, maybe a New Year, or something, like Easter, maybe Thanksgiving. It's like, all right, you don't have cake all around your house all the time, but when you go get it, the intention is to eat it.
Yeah. No,
so maybe in that situation, they're like, oh, you're not going to have ladies around unless you're trying to have sex with them. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what they were trying to say in that instance. But it's not the only instance I've ever heard somebody say, oh, you want to have your cake and eat it too.
Well, the saying almost is like you're either defending the cake or you're eating the cake. Like,
yeah.
There's no middle ground, or you can just look at the cake. The cake is going to get eaten. It's like, it's inevitable. So why accuse me of not eating it, Like, you should be happy I'm eating the cake because I'm doing what it's meant to be doing,
Yeah.
The phrase is it's just so silly, but I get it, but it doesn't make sense because cake is awesome.
Well, I've never liked the expression. Like, it never made sense to me. And maybe that's what my hang-up about it was. It's like, I consider myself a pretty logical person, and when it comes to something like that, it's like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
Give me a better analogy here, because I don't like that, and I reject it. No.
What is the better analogy that is food?
Another food one?
I mean, if there was more details on the cake, like because when it's like your cake,
it's like, what are we talking about?
Who else's cake is it? Like if it's you gotta sing happy birthday before we eat the cake, I'm not gonna eat it, you know. But it didn't happen. It says your cake on it, like my cake.
Yeah, your cake. You want to have your cake and eat it too.
Maybe there's a chunk of that saying that got lost. It was like maybe. It's like that. Like someone leaves the room and says, "Don't eat the cake until they come back."
They come back and there's like a big ass bite. No, I didn't do anything. You got frosting on your face. I'm trying to think of one, and I can't. I really can't.
There's. I guess I'm trying to like figure out a logical like translation. Like how would or when would I even need to use this? Like,
I think the expression is supposed to say you want it all, that you're being greedy. I think that's the feeling I get from it when it was said to me. It was like, you're being greedy, you want all of it. You want this and that. And I think that's the whole expression. You want your cake, which I guess is some reward within itself, and you also want to eat it, which is even more satisfaction than just having a cake. I think that's the analogy, but it's like, man, why the fuck would I have a cake anyway? In my mind, it's like, well, why would I get a cake unless I want to eat it?
It's like everybody gets a slice, and your slice is like the smallest, and then it would be like, oh man. But it's like, just be thankful you got a cake. But I don't know, it's too silly to try to even figure it out. But I don't know. Yeah, I thought someone might have said it to you at work or something.
You know, that would work too. I think it would be like, all right, I want to get promoted, and I also want to get paid more, or I want to get promoted, but I also want to still do what I'm doing. Which seems to me would be the better way for the company, is if this person has moved up and is taking care of all this new stuff, but also wants to keep working hard the way they did before they got promoted. That sounds beneficial. I mean, if you got cake and you're hungry, you eat it, you're full now. It's like, there's added satisfaction. I don't know. It never made sense, and I kind of reject it.
I get it, but it's not. It's like we don't eat regularly. Like, why would we just have cake laying around? But in the olden days, it would be like, you might have a cake, but you might just eat it like once, like a loaf of bread, But you know that, what do they say, like when they ask somebody, like, would you steal bread to feed your family? I mean, it's not like you're gonna buy the freaking bread and not eat it. You know, you're gonna freaking eat it. So, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of another time something like that would be said.
I think maybe we just eat too much cake, and our meter is broken because, I mean, it's someone's birthday, we're making a cake. You know, even when you're like, I think that was one of the first things I learned how to bake was in a cake, you know? And it's not even, like, we should have a podcast just on cake. Because,
yeah, I'm getting hungry.
Because I feel the whole freaking sonnet coming out, but, like, you ever make cake from scratch versus cake, like, the difference between scratch and then putting it in the box, like, somebody will say making a cake from a box is not actually baking because it wasn't from out of nowhere, I guess, but it's kind of the same thing. They just pretty much do it for you.
All you're doing is taking a step out of it. Like, that box has a bag in it, and it's the same stuff you mix together, only it's already mixed together.
Yeah.
You still got to add the water. You still got to add the eggs. You still got to mix it, and then boom, you have a cake. I can't imagine one way or the other being better or not, except for maybe there's less preservatives. But we're not on the cake podcast right now. We're not on that one right now. So let's get off of cakes here and get back to life here and moving the cheese. Let's see what the next. Well,
my cake is cheese. My cheese is cake.
You got cheesecake. Well, I like cheesecake.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to get your opinion here, and I'm trying to think of a good question for it because it's like
the pursuit of cake.
Well, yeah. Oh no, the cheese. So you said you either just got your cheese or you're keeping it. You changed jobs and now you got your new title. You're getting your new pay. In your past, has there been a time where you had to move the cheese? You had to change your life and move it forward, or even take a step back? Like, was there a time in your life where that happened?
Yeah, several.
Yeah.
I mean, I think. I mean, even the shit that you don't plan for, that kind of throws you off your game.
Yeah.
Or maybe thinking you found the cheese and really it's not the cheese you were really looking for, and there's another cheese that's more high end, or not high end, but it's a cheese you were looking for before, but you stopped pursuing it because you thought you found some other cheese.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure it was. Maybe the scientists didn't realize he put two different cheeses in two different spots, and it just made the mouse crazy because he didn't know which one to go after.
Interesting.
I think even going back to school was like, I can say I can put this off for long, but how long is it to where it's not going to be, I don't want to do it no more, So I think there's also cheese that kind of vanishes, where you're like, you get to a certain point where I don't want that cheese no more. I want this other cheese.
Yeah.
But also, just kind of, I'm trying to go back. I'm trying to think, like, because, being, and I said this before in other episodes where, when I was in that car accident, that kind of like reset my brain, but it just kind of had me slow down to where, maybe it's not the mundane routine, but it's the fast pace of it to where you get, overworked or, you're overrunning your motors and shit. So I think sometimes, overworking yourself to get the cheese, breaking that routine to where you're in a bigger space to get the cheese where it's not, there's not a lot of things that you're having to figure out. It's there's a more simpler route that you can take.
Yeah.
And it's the same cheese. It's just, maybe the rearranging priorities or having to think differently too, because I think too, like, even being maybe in a relationship and, you're considering both people's thoughts, and then when you're not in a relationship, you're kind of, I don't know, and I think that too is like, who you keep around yourself, who you're actually talking about getting the cheese with, or sharing your routes to the cheese, because I think that's I guess finding the right support system as you're pursuing the cheese. Because, you get tired, or it becomes boring, I think moving is, and relating it to people now is like, it's also like, where you're setting yourself up at, where you're placing yourself, who you're surrounding yourself with. It's sort of, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I think I met a lot of cool people when I went to school, to where I was getting the cheese, and then when I finished, I felt like I was still getting the cheese when I was working for the Nation, and I could have still stayed there, but it wasn't. The cheese was limited to what the cheese now I'm getting, I guess. But I also sort of noticed what I want for myself, like extra time. Sometimes I don't even work 40 hours at work because I rather get off early so I can do other stuff, whether it be if it's related to family or coaching or something, it's like not feeling I have to work 40 hours, but just knowing, hey, I'm in this comfortable spot to where I can relieve myself of that feeling I need to fulfill that 40 hours and spend it like, actually at the basketball court or something, So I guess it's like, what level of cheese are you trying to chase,
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, because, like, there's a lot of good, it's like, what you sign your life on, what you sign up for.
Yeah, exactly.
And, You know, if you got to renegotiate your contract, you got to renegotiate your contract. You know.
Yeah.
But sometimes knowing that the pay is not always equal to the satisfaction.
Yeah.
But sometimes knowing like your purpose versus, you know, what's gonna get you paid or what's gonna, I don't know, because everyone's life is different. But I think with mine, you know, like I've been in that fast pace, you know, driving, going to work, and I still do it, but I feel like I'm not trying to get in that fast pace all the time. Like, it's just like having more control of, you know, the rate I'm going. Because it's always fast, but like, I don't need it to be any faster. You know, I can, you know, I still have to operate in this time I'm given. So it's, I don't know, like it's like, you don't always win. Sometimes you lose. But, you know, what did you learn from that loss? How can you apply it to the next game, you know? Yeah. I don't know. You know, these rats that are chasing the cheese, like, you know, they gotta sleep, you know? You wonder, like, you know, what are they thinking about, you know? What is it that you're thinking about while you're getting the cheese?
Well, so just so you know, we got about 5-10 minutes here. I think the takeaway here is that you always got to know there's a cheese, and you got to know you're in a maze, and you got to know when it is to move it. And I think some people don't get that cue. They just keep going to work. That's it. That's all they do. There's no movement forward, and they're fine with that because one day they're going to retire, and that's what their parents did, and they're going to do it. You know, for me, I kind of keep my ear to the ground, which is another expression, but I'm always on the lookout for something I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like life isn't always about that. Like you said earlier, it's like you gotta pay your bills. If you got bills, you gotta pay them. If you got kids, you gotta feed them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean that drive, that's a motivator. Like I think if we really think about the cheese, it's a motivator. What motivates you to keep doing what you're doing? And you know, a lot of people, if you do stuff just for fun, if you're doing stuff that's interesting to you, but it's not paying the bills, then that's a problem. You know, sometimes more for other people than it is for you. So, in my mind, I think, you know, keeping your eye on the prize, keeping your mind on the cheese, like you gotta know when it's time, when you've reached that point for. You know, the cheese is still going to be there. It's almost like the res. The res is always going to be there. You know, you can always go home. I think we talked about this. Like, it's always there. If all else fails, you go home. We can do that. We're lucky we have that. And for me, it's now. It's time to go. But it's like I keep my mind on what I'm doing, and I compare it to what I've done, and it's like, all right, where am I at on the scale of like doing what I'm supposed to do versus doing? Let's say on both ends of a scale, there's doing what you're supposed to do and doing what you love doing. And if you can somehow do what you're supposed to, which is pay your bills, and do what you're enjoying to pay those bills, then let's say your scale is balanced. Then you know, your cheese is all right. It's in good hands. It's in the right spot. It's right down the middle. It's centered. Your life is in balance. But if you're leaning one way or the other, all business, no play, then you're going to be all on the side of doing what you're supposed to do, rather than, taking care of yourself and going out and having some fun or showing your family a good time. Then, you're all going to be unbalanced and, extremely leaning to the left or the right based on, wherever you keep it. And I'd rather live a life of balance, and I don't mind having a little more of the enjoying what I'm doing type side. Like I would like to live my life leaning towards the cheese, leaning towards enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I have these little health scares, it's like, hey, I better be exactly where I want to be in case this is it. I'd rather be still taking care of my bills, but somewhere where I'm a little more happy. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be satisfied with what I'm doing, and more than that, I want to be happy about what I'm doing. I don't want to just be satisfied. I don't want to just do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So, do you have any last words to say about that?
Yeah. It's like, hey, we've had these conversations, but they're on other episodes where we didn't share them yet.
Uh-huh.
But like the scene in Jerry Maguire where he's wrote the mission statement and he's at Kinko's and he's printing it off. And the guy that working there, that's Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. I don't know if you knew that, but I just found that out. Really?
The guy's like, that's how you become famous, man. You hang your balls out there.
Hang your balls out there. That's what I'm saying to you. Is, go hang your balls out there, man. Go.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. I'm gonna hang my balls out there and try to live a life that I'm happy with.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's what we all want to do. But in this day and age where we're constantly bombarded with opinions, even if it's someone else's that we have no knowledge of who they are, somehow it affects how we operate, and so hanging your balls out there isn't something anyone can do. It's like, it takes a certain bravery.
Yeah. Some people don't have balls.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to see those balls just hanging out there? But you're not worried about that judgment, because you gotta just hang them out of there.
Yeah. Well, I think age has something to do with it. When I was a kid, I had it was easier to conform. It was easier to just go along with what my bosses wanted. It was easier to just kind of keep my head down. Now that I'm older, it's like, man, that's just not good enough.
Yeah. No, I think when I graduated, I was hoping that I would get like this boss that was gonna like mentor me, and I had this like, I guess this sort of cliche idea of sort of a boss kind of like uplifting me and showing me like being my Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And it didn't really work out that way. I met some cool people along the way, but I wrestle with that idea of being a boss because I don't think I should be, or even reading certain things is like I shouldn't be a boss, but like that just kind of makes me want to, well, why not? And so like this is a little piece of me that's like, can I be a boss? Like, in charge of telling all these other people what to do and having these expectations, and I rather not, but yet I also kind of have this idea that I can't So that still not motivates me, but still makes me ponder. I could be a pretty cool boss, but is that imaginary boss, or is this perfect person, or is it this personality that I kind of have to learn to work with and figure things out, or leave because?
Or do you even want a boss?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I had this idea of what a boss should be, and yet it hasn't been the case. Yeah. So maybe that boss is still going to come, or maybe I just set my hopes too high. I don't know what kind of bosses are out there, but I don't know. I think I might need a boss because I know I can be all over the place, and sometimes that's not a good thing. At least to a business where you're trying to be consistent, I think sometimes I can wander and lose track, and so I think a boss is a good thing sometimes for me. So I kind of want a boss, but I also think I could be the boss.
Ooh.
So maybe that's kind of the next cheese in my life, but
yeah.
I've also lost, I one time I did have a chance. I got to interview for a supervisor type thing, and I didn't get it, but yet I was there, So I had played with the idea in my head for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Now, I don't know. There's a lot of. This week has been crazy, just with how shit's being operated now. It's kind of weird. So
it's like at 40% or something. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, is a boss still the same thing? Even like a teacher or a principal or, these new positions there, not new positions, but these roles that people fill, with everything going on, they've kind of gotten, there's new areas that they're covering. Even parents, having to be like teachers in their house. Older siblings having to be like tutors and IT, so like all our roles are getting new positions and different things. So like the term boss and principal and teacher, like they're kind of getting new tactics or new, I don't know, like just so the idea of a boss, like. Yeah, I always thought it'd be cool to have a boss that was like a mentor, kind of like a what do you call it? Like a sensei.
Yeah, mentor.
Give you some lessons at the end of the day, and kind of school you, chess you up,
Yeah, so sometimes just check in on you, see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep you on your path.
Yeah, and I have that, but
it's not what you imagine.
It's not short. I'm not shortchanged. It's just, it's in a different currency.
Yeah.
It's from a different country. I don't know, but yeah.
Well,
so I say that.
I gotta call it now. People who are listening. Think about it. Think about what your cheese is. Think about what kind of maze you want to be in. Do you even want to be in a maze at all? Do you want somebody controlling your cheese, or are you in control of your cheese? So Sky's saying he thinks he would like a boss, but maybe he could be the boss. Do you have a boss? Do you even want a boss? Think about what your cheese is. And if you're even still interested in getting the cheese, or if you need a new see, that's my alarm going off a bunch. Do you even? Are you still interested in the cheese you're going after right now, or do you need a new cheese? Do you need to change your life? Think about it. I'm thinking about it all the time, and it sounds like Sky thinks about it. And think about it for yourself. All right?
Be the cheese.
Be the cheese. Think about it, people, because I think the whole reason I brought it up was it's an important thing to consider. And I think sometimes in our lives we forget to even think about the cheese. We forget we're in a maze. We forget we're in this giant, grand experiment. And if you do that, then things can get stagnant. And some people, including myself, can end up not even aware that they're in the maze. You can forget what we're doing it for. So if you haven't already been thinking about it, maybe it's time you start thinking about it. Figure out what your cheese is. You know, figure out what kind of maze you want, what kind of surroundings you want to be looking at, and is it still realistic to go and get your cheese? Is it still obtainable? And if it is, if you have it every day, then maybe there's something new you want to obtain. So this was kind of one of our slower episodes, but I think it was a good point to bring up. Is think about it. You know, get your mind going about what it is you're really after and what you want out of life.
Wow.
Right? Heavy duty.
Yeah.
All right. I got to hit the big red button.
Some cheese searching, man.
Yeah.
Like soul searching, but cheese.
or cake in this case.
Yeah, a cake.
And apparently we got to have a cake episode, so that's coming down the pipeline.
It's on the way. It's on the road. It's on the list.
Stay on the edge of your seats, people. Cake is coming, or maybe it's not. I don't know. It's part of the experiment.
We made it and then we ate it.
Oh god! All right, I'm hitting the button, bro. Peace out, everybody.